Good evening, everyone, and welcome to AI in FinTech, building the next wave of financial innovation. We are excited to bring together founders, builders, and institutions shaping how technology and finance intersect, especially here in the Philippines. To open today's program, we are very honored to hear from a leader who has been instrumental in shaping and connecting startup ecosystems across Southeast Asia. As the founder of Asia Startup Network, she has spent over a decade supporting founders and fostering collaborations across the region. Please welcome Elise Tan, who has actually flown in from Singapore to join us today.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Talino, Winston, for supporting this event with value sponsorship. So I'm Elise, so good to meet all of you. We thank you for being here, especially on a Friday night, because I'm sure you have somewhere nicer to go to, but thanks for being with us. I also want to first thank our speakers as well, so Winston, Efrain, Jania, Olivier, so you'll be hearing from them later, so thank you so much. And I also want to thank Germee, our market lead for Asia Startup Network, for making this work. And also, she'll introduce herself more later. And together with me from Singapore is JC, so he also flown in here. So if you guys want to know more about Proptech in Singapore, he's the guy. So a bit about Asia Startup Network. Sorry, who is controlling the slides? Okay, thank you. So just a quick introduction. So for us, we are all about community and connecting. Across the years, we started in 2020, and with the help of investors, partners across the region, we've been very grateful to have the support and been impacting many entrepreneurs. We have been primarily in Singapore and Indonesia, but today we mark our official launch in Philippines. Thank you. So our purpose is really to help transfer knowledge and also bridge the gap in capital as well. In our network, there are over 2,000 investors as well as partners. So this year we are launching in Philippines as well as India, Japan. So I mentioned about our partners across the years. So we've been organizing lots of events. And today we also want to mention our long-time sponsor, Singapore Global Network. So they support our events throughout Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines. Primarily it's a community. You can check them out online, Singapore Global Network, to connect talents across the world. So I gave a brief introduction earlier. If you wish to join our community, we will also send you the links later. So we are on Telegram, Slack as well. And in this online communities, it's safe to ask questions, look for connections and so on. You can also follow us on our Luma, and I'm sure most of you found about this event through Luma. So we have lots of events across the region. So maybe I can invite Germee to share about herself.
No,
later.
Later.
Later, okay. So I mentioned Germee. She is our market lead. She'll share more about the company she's creating and developing, and then we have other market leads as well. This is me as well as my co-founder Andrew Tan. So Andrew Tan is more on the talent side. So for me, my background has been accelerator and venture capital. Thank you so much for joining us. So I hope you have a great time. Okay, I will now pass the mic over back to MC.
Alright, thank you so much, Elise. Alright, to guide our panel discussion this evening, we are joined by someone who brings both deep financial expertise and a forward-looking perspective on AI. She is the venture partner of Asia Startup Network here in the Philippines and the founder and CEO of Roni AI, a smart CFO AI assistant. With over 17 years of experience as an independent financial advisor and CFO, she has supported businesses ranging from startups to large international organizations. She was also the 7th placer in the 2006 CPA board exam in the Philippines, and she graduated cum laude from the University of the Philippines Diliman and holds a master's degree in finance from Università Bocconi in Italy. Please welcome Germee Ronirose.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for carving some of your precious time to be with us tonight as we officially launch the Asia Startup Network here in the Philippines. So thank you so much for being here with us. And then I would also like to thank our partners, Talino Foundry, for opening their doors for us. Winston, thank you to Wayne, Carla, and your team, and all of your partners coming in from the US for this weekend for our event tonight. And of course, the Roni AI team is also here helping out. Mac, Daryl, Nancy, everyone in our team, and Jerome, and Singapore Global Network as well for sponsoring our event tonight. And of course, I would also like to thank Asia Startup Network, Elise, Andrew, and of course JC, who also flew from Singapore just to support this event, for bringing this conversation here tonight. Okay, so when Andrew and Elise asked me to be a part of this, I agreed because I totally believe in their vision. Asia Startup Network is a community that helps out startup founders and entrepreneurs across Southeast Asia. And so we are trying to connect businesses to capital, markets, practical skills, and talents. And during the pandemic, I actually participated in their mentorship event, and it changed my perspective thinking about tech in the Philippines. And so for me, Filipino innovation is not something new. As Filipino entrepreneurs, we're very resilient. We're very, very resourceful. We are able to stretch our last peso to its best use. But most of the time, we need support too. Like, Filipinos are really strong. They thrive in any environment. But we also need support, right? Yeah. So that is exactly what Asia Startup Network is. We want our Filipino founders to be connected to the greater ecosystem of Southeast Asia. We want to bring in new partnerships and also network and cross-border learnings. Okay, so that's why I'm here today. And today, this is also about learning and being inspired by our FinTech leaders. And coming from a builder point of view, from our Roni AI team's lens, I'm going to be sharing our learnings from building agentic AI in accounting and finance. Okay, so this is how we see it. So in 2022, so AI has been there for the longest time. And before, machine learning is like even a bigger word. But in 2022, we call it the chat period, when even non-tech people can just directly communicate with AI. Okay, and then in 2023 is the time of the co-pilots. That's when we started using ChatGPT to say, hey, I want to say this in a better way. Can you tell me like how to email this person, you know? And in 2024, we have the agentic demos. So when we say agentic demos, instead of chatting with the AI, we're starting to see the tools that they can do stuff, okay? But they're still demos, okay? So later on, we're gonna talk more about what it is. And then in 2025, that's when we see the operational agents. We start seeing them being used in real businesses. Okay, yeah. All right, so just to be grounded more on the definition of agentic AI systems. Okay, so the definition, it's very basic. So it's like it's like you can imagine like a person. Okay, so the LLM, which is the chat, that is the brains. Okay, so that's who you talk to tell it what you want it to do. Okay, that's what's understanding you. And then this is connected to tools. So tools, it's like the hands of the agent, okay? So it's like in a kitchen. The tools are something that's preparing the ingredients, okay? And also cooking the food. So those are two tools. One is preparing the ingredients and cooking the food. And so these three are the extension of LLMs, okay? That's what agentic AI systems are. And then you have the memory. So the memory is telling you, this is the recipe, follow this, okay? And planning is when it's breaking down each task into little tasks. Like, okay, this tool is preparing the ingredients. This other one is cooking it. So they are different tools because AI cannot understand it if it's gonna do everything all at once. Okay, so yeah, so that's our grounded definition. And why are we talking about this? Because it's very relevant to finance. How is it relevant? Because in finance, it's full of repetitive and multi-step workflows. So there's a lot of steps. We need to break it down. Okay. It's a lot of high manual effort too. There's a lot of data as well. Okay, so in finance, there's a lot of challenge because we wanted to do these tasks, but at the same time, we also need a lot of trust, and we want to audit the system, and there's a lot of need for control, right? So in short, we're trying to use this technology, AI, which is non-deterministic, it's inherently non-deterministic because you know how AI gives you a different answer all the time? It's because at the back end of it, it's full of like probability knobs. Like what is the probability that it's gonna say a cat or a dog, you know? That's why it's giving you different answers. And what we are trying to do here is use that type of technology for something, for an output or workflows that are deterministic. Like in finance, we want numbers, right? And we don't want it to change all the time. So that's the challenge there. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so in building agentic AI systems, these have been the biggest learnings of our team. Okay, number one, start with the problem and not with the technology. Like, don't think, okay, we want to use AI, just slap it on anything. Okay, you have to think about what the problem is. How do you think about it? You have to think about what's slow, what's repetitive, what's so painful. Like some of our clients, they would tell us, oh, we are in pain. Like that's their opening when it comes to their accounting and finance. And number two, trust beats autonomy. So instead of just the agents being autonomous, finance people, we want something that's not a black box. We want something that's going to explain to us why it recommended something. We want something to tell us why it computed something that way, right? Okay, so in finance, trust beats magic. Okay. And then number 3 is that exception handling matters more than happy path demos. So what does that mean? It's very, very easy to create like the perfect AI demo app. Okay, you just vibe code it and it's a perfect demo app. But the thing is that finance is very messy. Like there are missing documents, there are numbers that even a person cannot just like justify. You know, there are a lot of edge cases. Okay, all the edge cases, like this is what makes real production apps, and this is what's like driving teams crazy, actually. Okay, so next thing. So what to watch out for in 2026 in AI in FinTech? Okay, number 1 is vertical agents and not generic AI employees. Don't just say, okay, we want an AI assistant in our business, okay? Vertical agents mean, okay, this agent is doing marketing, this agent is doing finance, okay? So they all, we're looking at like more vertical ones. And then number 2 is governed autonomy. So they're quite autonomous, but it's still governed and structured. And lastly, dependability becomes the moat. So what does that mean? For us, Filipino founders, it's not just using AI or adopting AI. It's really about building systems that are credible, dependable, and also relevant for the region. So that's why I'm excited to be here today, and that's why I'm really, really excited to bring Asia Startup Network to the Philippines. Thank you.
Oh wow, thank you, Germee, for that very interesting and educational talk. Like even for me, I'm not in finance, but it's really interesting. Okay, all right. So now, instead of individual talks, tonight will unfold as a conversation. Because the future of FinTech isn't built in silos, but through dialogue across different perspectives. Let me introduce our panelists for this evening. Our first panelist has been at the forefront of building and scaling tech ventures across both Silicon Valley and the Philippines. He represents a bridge between global innovation and local impact, particularly in financial inclusion. Please welcome Winston Damarillo of Talino FinTech Foundry.
I'll wait for everyone. We'll go together.
Okay.
I think we're gonna sit there. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Our next panelist is working directly on expanding financial access across the Philippines, particularly in underserved communities. His work sits at the intersection of infrastructure, technology, and inclusion. Please welcome Efrain Laureano of Higala. Representing one of the most forward-thinking banks in the country, our next panelist brings an institutional perspective to innovation. She is part of the movement proving that large organizations can evolve and lead in the age of AI. Please welcome Jania Manalac of Union Bank of the Philippines. Our next panelist works at the intersection of blockchain, security, and digital trust. In a world of increasingly shaped by AI, questions around verification and transparency are more important than ever. Please welcome Olivier Bariou of DOCONCHAIN. Okay, and guiding this conversation is our moderator who is building directly within the AI space, translating its capabilities into real-world applications. Her work reflects where we are headed, a future where AI becomes a collaborator in how we build businesses and experiences. Please welcome Germee and the Samis of Roni.
Sorry, it's me again. Okay.
Are you guys just gonna stay there?
Yeah, well, just thank you. It's okay. Thank you. Okay. So welcome everyone to our panel tonight on building the next wave of financial innovation. Okay, so we probably realize that we're at a really interesting point right now because AI and blockchain are not buzzwords anymore. They're in real workflows in companies, and they are actively reshaping how we are building and delivering and also experiencing financial services today. Okay, so the key question is that what kind of value is it truly creating, and where are the spaces that we're still trying to figure things out? Okay, and that's what we're going to unpack with our panel tonight. Okay, and so we would like to have our discussion around 5 things where AI is actually working: infrastructure, trust, risk, and regulation, and then around financial inclusion in emerging markets, and then where we're headed. Okay, so for our first question, so AI and blockchain have been discussed in financial services for years, but in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen an acceleration in real deployments in companies. So from where each of you sits, what is the most meaningful shift in AI and blockchain today that they are already creating in financial services?
Okay, I'll start.
Yes.
I'll just mention from where I'm coming from, since we're specialized on securing information on the blockchain, and maybe someone else will talk about blockchain transactions or whatnot. So to link the security of information with the banking industry, I can name a few examples of some of the largest institutions like UBS or JP Morgan or the London Stock Exchange. They, for example, have adopted and have even participated in the development of, for example, the Hyperledger framework technologies. Their goal was to secure data, for example, for KYC of clients. So once the identity of a client is confirmed, it is secured on the blockchain. It is then becoming a source of truth that can be shared with other banks. So they can just skip all the different process to identify someone quickly. It also allows to track all the events or the transactions. In case of a cyber attack, they can go back to the source of truth and recover maybe what was lost or tampered. I would say,
Is my point of view used as a social key?
Thank you so much, Olivier. That's a very interesting perspective. Thank you. Yes,
Awesome.
please.
You're gonna answer the same question.
Yes, Winston.
Think about it. You guys think the battery on this one's dead. Which is far out these two. Yeah. Hello. Okay, so let me start with AI. So I think AI hit the inflection point last year, about June, right? And this is when we finally, as innovators, could count on AI to actually replace human output. So when Claude Code came out, I think from my perspective, and I have 400 developers working for me, right? From that perspective, we actually have seen where the future is going, right? Which is code's about to be commodity and design's about to be premium. And so when you apply that, AI truly has impact, especially when you apply it to things like in FinTech. So the other thing we do in my company is to deliver inclusive financial services. And the important part of inclusive financial services is in countries like the Philippines, it's very expensive to be poor. I don't know if you know that, right? If you're poor, InstaPay is more expensive. If you're poor, interest rates are higher. If you're poor, you can't get credit, right? So AI actually has a way to change all of that because AI has the ability to lower the cost of service. In banking, for instance, we see that quite a bit, right? If you have to borrow money from a loan shark, from a person, that interest rate is very, very high. But if you're able to leverage technologies like AI, you can lower the cost of borrowing. So there's really great examples in the Philippines. Like Salmon, if you've heard of that bank, digital bank, not only are they accessible, easy to use, they also boast of the lowest possible NPL in the country, and that's by using AI. So I think that shift to relying on AI to lower costs and increase productivity has already happened last year in mass. And when you apply that in environments like financial services, you bring that value of efficiency down to benefit to citizens, right? And that's really what's exciting about this whole thing is that we can make borrowing cheaper, we can make financial services easier, we can get everybody included in InstaPay because AI is going to make it cheaper. So that's what's exciting. I think a lot of new companies will come out because of that transition.
Thank you, Winston.
Yeah, for Union Bank, so where I sit is really to scale AI solutions across the bank. So we have a different team who does the R&D. So it's my job to scale these AI technologies across the bank. So what I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is that AI has become mainstream. So over 3 years ago, we would do pilots, and then we would sell our solutions to the other business units. It's very hard to convince people, but now it's mainstream. People are more open, really. So it makes my job a little easier.
Thank you, Jania.
From what I think this is better. Maybe it's me. Maybe I did something wrong. Nothing to do with that. Anyway, I look at from the Higala perspective, and what we are doing is we're providing infrastructure as a service to connect all the rural banks and all the MFIs into the national rail. And then, because you don't need the pipes, AI can only work when there is data, and you need to kind of find a way to get those data up so you can then use all of this tool. And what everybody has saying here, we're now going to a point where I remember even just recently, guys, I remember even 2 years ago when people will ask you, what AI are you using to help you do your daily tasks? And everybody was saying, well, I'm beginning to kind of looking at Copilot for Microsoft, ChatGPT that was there. And then people were using ChatGPT like they use Google for search, searching something. And then just 2 years ago. And then, Notebook LM came a long way. And then you could put a whole book there and give you a 10-minute podcast. You don't have to read the whole thing. You can summarize everything. You can just take tons of information and they translate that into something that you can use quickly in a few minutes. Things that you take months to do before, now you can do it within minutes. And now all those things translated more and more and more into actually usable things, actual things that now go way beyond your daily task. And as Winston was saying, in banking specifically, you now have AI-assisted credit scoring, for instance. And now we're going from pilot to scaling. Now we're seeing that the solution now at scale, even here in the Philippines. And it's really exciting that even for people who have nothing to do with computer, remember when people were using
For everyone, what's the use case where you're seeing the biggest ROI? like currently in production?
I would say, well, as a technology company, our largest cost is in development, software development. So this is where we see the most impact. We're not yet there at full capacity, but I would say AI helps us achieve 30% acceleration. Hopefully we can go a bit further.
Thank you, Olivier.
Actually, for us, it's fundamental. So earlier today, we did a demo for a client. We took 840 pages of business requirements, fed it into Claude, and it produced a demo and a prototype. And in 6 months, it becomes a core system of an insurance company. So that used to cost $3.6 million to build. And we're gonna do it in about a third the price. So it's profound, number one, in terms of just the sheer amount of engineering time you're gonna save. But the second part of it is this mismatch of requirements and delivery. So every time you build a solution, somebody tells you what they're looking for. By the time it hits a developer, it's translated wrong. And that's always the problem, right? So AI actually, because the time between idea and execution is so short that the possibility of making a mistake is also less, that actually translates to that. So I think it's not incremental, it's not percentages, it's orders of magnitude. So in the US, we're firing in the orders of tens of thousands of engineers. And that's because the manual part of coding essentially is now commodity, that's going away. And the premium now moves up to the business design, and the premium moves down to reliability, scalability, and security. So we're looking forward to a world where software is going to become more and more reliable, and packaged software is going to go away. Like, we don't need packaged software anymore, because the enterprise now has the ability to communicate what they need, turn it into prompts, and agents will just execute that into code. And that's not even like tomorrow, it's today, right? And for founders, I think this now moves up the needle that your idea and your passion to serve a community is actually much more important now than the actual time to code. So it's changing rapidly, and it's profound. The ROIs are multiple. For us, we think it's a 3x multiplier in our engineering capacity and a 50% reduction of time to deliver.
For a bank, you're really in the business of risk, risk and trust. So the biggest use cases that we have is on credit risk, credit underwriting. It's as the algorithms become sharper and sharper, and as the data becomes richer, the more we can really be sharper, in determining which customers to accept or decline. And at the same time, it also encourages inclusion, because with more data, we know more about the person, and we can approve them more. And with trust, also one of the biggest use cases that we have is actually on fraud and anti-money laundering. So there are a lot of scammers, fraudsters out there, and in a bank, it's really protecting the assets of the people. So that's one of our biggest use cases.
Okay, thank you.
I know obviously this is talking about from a big bank perspective, from a small bank perspective, is not different. So what we have, like what we do in Higala, we do the connectivity, but you cannot just stop in connecting people. If we connect people to the national rail, and then now the customers of the rural banks can be part of the InstaPay, that's great. There's something, a service that they didn't have, but in terms of value, that doesn't change the local economy. What changed the local economy is giving those smaller institutions the ability to now go into stuff that they just cannot do without digitalization, like high velocity lending, like meeting the instant liquidity needs that their customers need. a sari-sari store owner in a rural town, if she can get a loan approved within minutes rather than within weeks, that could be the difference on success or failure. And then if she can get a loan, pay for the inventory, pay the suppliers down, and sell this, and do all that within one single digital cycle, that means speeding up. That's high velocity and that new opportunity, economic opportunity at the local level. So what we see is the use case when we got this alternate data, credit scoring, and you can use the digital footprint to qualify borrowers, and not only to qualify borrowers, but also including what you say, the kind of the human in the loop, in the sense of the applicative AI. When you get a no, when somebody get a no from an algorithm, they should know why they got that no. And then the AI can actually equip that human in the loop to provide not only a no, but the roadmap for that borrower to understand how do they need to improve their digital print to get a yes when they apply next time. So it becomes actually an opportunity rather than an exclusion example. And those are the use cases that are being big in finance right now, that are both on the credit scoring and on the anti-fraud fronts are probably the two biggest use cases that I've seen that coming alive in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for that. That's very varied. So let's unpack it a bit more. So coming from Olivier and Winston, we can see how AI is being used in actually like building the technology. Okay, and then here from Jania and Efrain, we're seeing the AI work in the actual operations of the business. So that's how the real ROI, that's how AI right now is creating value, from creating the technology itself to the operations itself of the company. Okay, yeah, so this is more for Jania. Okay, so banks have been investing in analytics for decades. What has changed with modern AI that is actually moving the needle for banks today?
All right. So what changed? No? So it's really richer and more integrated data. Now there's unstructured data. Before it was just all in the ledger or in tables. Now there's unstructured data as well. Then in modern AI, there's we started with more sophisticated algorithms, and now there's LLMs. So it's now really from risk and fraud and AML. It's now moving towards operations, as what they said. It's streamlining the operations, software development. So that's where the big shift is going. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm very curious about this. So, so with AI too, like with a lot of data, it can also lead. It can also potentially lead to more bias, right? So my question here is that with the introduction of unstructured data, is this somehow minimizing the bias? So bias in financial services, what we mean is what the panel is talking about earlier, that there is a possibility that if the poorer the person is, there's higher interest rate, and then the AI can say, oh, this particular type of demographic is not gonna pay, So that's my question. Like with the introduction of unstructured data, is this helping it?
Yeah, it does reduce the bias because you see a more 360 view of the person, and especially alternative data, data that we don't see in the bank, but that's very hard to acquire and trust. That's the main challenge with alternative data. But it will reduce the bias. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot of benefits for our society at large. Thank you, Jania. Yeah. Okay. And this is a question for Winston. Okay. So, are there any products that weren't possible like 5 years ago that right now are possible, like with the introduction of AI, generative AI?
I think a few years ago, and maybe about a year ago, there's a blend of software that you buy and software that you build to deliver in whatever you need in the enterprise. And that ratio is somewhere between 70-30. So you buy 70%, you build 30%, especially in banks, right? I think where it's evolving now is at least half. So people stop buying products, package software, and thinking more and being able to articulate more on how we work as a business or as a bank, and expressing that in prompts that gets turned into JSON, that gets turned into code, right? My prediction here is in about 5 years or less, we'll buy roughly 10 to 20% software, and we code our enterprise by then. We can now communicate how our business works in English, translated into JSON, executed by agents, and that more than ever, the responsiveness of how I want to serve as a business to the automation that makes that service very cheap and and delightful is about to occur, right? And that's the big change. And I think it's great because that affects large banks like Union Bank or BDO or RCBC, and also equalizes little banks like the banks that Efrain is serving in rural banks. But I think all business is going to be an AI. If you're not an AI business, you shouldn't be a business in a few years, right? So it's not AI will introduce something. AI is the way we work going forward, and it's really how you use it dictates, where you live. It's almost like deciding whether I should be in the internet or not, almost, right? So I think a lot of the enterprises really need to understand how to use it and wield it.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Winston. Okay, and Olivier, you're building a blockchain infrastructure that is supporting financial systems, right? How are traditional financial institutions right now engaging with blockchain that they never did, like some years ago?
I would say that with the examples I used earlier with JP Morgan, London Stock Exchange, they were really pioneers. So obviously these are big names and required a lot of investment in the past years. We're hoping that blockchain will become democratized. We actually see a strong interest from governments themselves to establish sovereign blockchains. So we can see it in China, India, Vietnam, actually all around, either live or experimental. So this means that blockchain becomes mainstream and the cost goes down. It can be accessible to all, can be accepted by all. So blockchain can be the source of truth for diverse information, national IDs, signatures, financial transactions, so that we don't need to reiterate to download or go physically somewhere, print, true copy, etc., etc. So we can streamline and save a lot of time. So yeah, we're doing our small part on the document side, and we hope to see governments further progress on that side.
Okay, thank you. So now we've seen like where Filipino startups are finding use cases for AI. Okay, now we want to see like the other side where, okay, what are the challenges right now of AI? Like what's not working yet? Like what are we trying to still figure out?
Just a quick point of view is today most of the AI comes from the US, a bit of China, a bit of Europe, but we don't have any regional leader, or at least no national champion. So the problem is that we're sending data outside of the country. It can be analyzed. There's no sovereignty. There can be hacks. There's the cost as well of the service. So we're spending money and sending money outside of the country. And I think I believe in localized solutions. Maybe there's an AI for everyone. So I would just say that what's missing is a local expertise.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point of view, and we will come back to that later on. Thank you.
Can I just add a couple of things? So on blockchain, the most visible large-scale example of it is stablecoins, right? Imagine tokenizing the American Treasury into $1 at a time in highly reliable fashion. That could not happen without blockchain, but that's kind of invisible now. But the power of tokenizing assets, and in the Philippines, PDAX actually tokenizes our security. That's democratizing access to assets, right? Before today, you cannot buy American Treasury $1 at a time. Now you can use it, right? You can store your money, your Philippine peso in American Treasury, and you can use that to transport remittance at a lower cost than what banks can deliver. In fact, banks are thinking about using it now. So I think blockchain actually has already kind of matured a little bit beyond AI, highly usable now. I think most extreme, concrete example of that is stablecoins. From an AI perspective, I think there's a lot of misconception in AI from a data sovereignty standpoint. It's not just leaving the country, it's leaving your company, right? And for those of you who remember cloud, right, the biggest fear of any enterprise at the time, if I used to put my infrastructure in Amazon, is that my data started leaving my company. Today, the dominant option of using AI is to use OpenAI or Claude or Gemini, right? And there's no other option but shipping your data out. Now, one emerging trend that's probably going to be very popular long term is the idea of local AI. So you've heard of OpenClaw, right? Claude now is using Dispatch. And very soon, there's going to be a propagation of very large enterprise like Union Bank have their own private data center, running their own Llama or Flux model inside the enterprise, creating retrieval augmented generation, combining that with their inside data, and producing proprietary benefits coming from the bank. So it's kind of not a threat, it's an opportunity, but it's what's missing for dramatic and large-scale enterprise adoption.
I really agree to that.
Thank you,
Exactly
Vincent.
our main concern, no, in the banks. No, it's really data going out of our company, and what you said is really the solution that we want. No, so and but aside from that, no, another challenge that we have is what we always have in mind is ROI. No, it's when will we get the return on our investment? So if we invest on a certain product or solution, it's really when can we get the benefits of it, or is the benefit real? No, so it's the value versus the cost. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
And
Jania.
since you guys are talking about the big things, I'm going to talk about the small thing. Winston said before that it's expensive to be poor. Well, when we talk about data, it's expensive to be poor from a data perspective. So actually, if we move into, and I believe this is one of the challenges that still the Philippines has, but not just the Philippines, all emerging country, is the fractionality of the data. So if we move it to our open finance framework, and this is the Philippines actually on the regulatory side, so like a leader trying to move people into that, but moving into an open finance framework translate into data liquidity. And then portable data, imagine that Sari owner, or imagine a farmer out there that belongs to a small cooperative, and then this farmer has a great credit score that is in this cooperative, how great he is. If that's portable, if that credit score is portable, that any FinTech can make use of that information, this person now has a very valuable asset. But right now, if nobody can read that, it doesn't exist. So yes, is data security and data sovereignty is important, but on the other side of that equation is data fragmentation also has a cost, especially for the unbanked and the smaller. Like if you want to bring rural banks and all the MFI into the digitalization era and all this population, data exchange, and data liquidity is an important aspect for AI to really be being able to provide usefulness for that population.
Thank you everyone for that. So just to again summarize it a bit more. Okay, so starting from Olivier, we looked at the security, data security coming from the Philippines to outside countries. Okay, and then with Winston and Jania, it's more about inside companies. We are sending, every time we use AI, we are sending private company information to outside entities. Okay, and then of course for Efrain, it's more about data fragmentation. Okay, so I think this is one of okay, so let's move on to infrastructure. It was introduced by Olivier a while ago, actually, that here in the Philippines, we're more about creating apps. So that means it's a layer above the infrastructure, which is the basic technology is AI, right? And we're not producing any chatbots, LLMs here in the Philippines. Okay, so my question to the panel is that so they're saying that here in the Philippines, we're not creating any infrastructure. It's all about the app layer. Okay, how would you assess the Philippines today in terms of financial infrastructure? Is what they're saying is true? And how would you compare that to other emerging markets? And yeah, where do you think, what kind of, if there is one investment that's going to unlock the most innovation in Philippine tech, what would that be?
I'm going to start now because I have the mic.
Yes, you can start.
Don't say it's debate.
Anyway, but I think we have touched a little bit about on this thing. But if in the last decade gave us the wallet, and that's so the application to build the wallet. Now the infrastructure is what the one thing that can give us this digital economy, and so it's kind of like you have to invest in infrastructure to get to the digital economy side. The wallet alone will not get you there. But you do have in the Philippines extremely successful wallet that have been able to kind of the heavy lifting in onboarding dozens of millions and millions of people into their ecosystem. But then the infrastructure, you need the pipes, and this is what I was talking about. You have the big banks, and there's no problem with the big banks. But then when you go below that, then how do you create those pipes on that infrastructure layer? And then you can put AI on top of those on those layers to add value to that part. So I believe that, again, if there is one investment that I say, again, going back to the open finance framework, that's the one investment that you need. And the Philippines is fortunate in a way that we have a very progressive BSP. We got a BSP that is really, when it comes to digital payment, Philippines is a leader on that. When it comes to cross-border, now the Philippines is in the intent is there, participating in that Nexus program that is bringing Philippines together with Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, India. So that's a big step. So they're trying. But we do need to create those pipes, and this is what Higala is trying to do at the lower level on this rural banks, and it's really creating the infrastructure they need to digitalize, and then giving them the tool that they can do it. And we are coming out with a model, with a commercial model that we're doing it, ensuring that there is no capex or opex. So taking all the friction away. So they don't have to actually provide an investment from the outset, but we're giving them, equipping them, and then going into a revenue sharing model that we grow as they grow.
I actually have the same answer. No? Open finance. Yes, yeah. So I think the Philippines, need really a very secure, data sharing pipes. Like open finance, having that, and then also sharing data in terms of like the fraud and scams and money laundering. That would really be helpful for the country.
Okay.
Thank you, Jania.
I'll be controversial since I don't have to worry about PSP anymore. We need an interoperable payment system in the Philippines. We suck. The InstaPay system here is not reliable, not consumed enough, and not compliant to standards enough. Like, if you look at any other country in the world, Payla in Singapore is really good. UPI in India is really good. Pix in Brazil is really good, and that's become a foundation for people doing business digitally, and that's what inclusion really is all about, right? The PR guy is getting worried. I'm not gonna say any more controversial things, but the other thing that is really important for a country like the Philippines is the use of new technologies like blockchain. So, for instance, in Cambodia, they use a platform called Bakung, built by Hyperledger Iroha, and that's actually enabled all 100%, all 69%, all 69 rural banks of Cambodia to interoperate in real time. Right, that's kind of a true example of how blockchain really works. Everybody talks about blockchain, and for most part, it's kind of overrated. Like, you need a database, not a blockchain, 99% of the time. But when you needed publicly accessible, transparent, domestically run, sovereign infrastructure, I think things like blockchain is really important in the Philippines, especially interoperable ones for identity, for financial transactions. And that's the one thing we're not good at as Filipinos. We tend to consume, not build. And I think that's what's evolving because our telcos, our banks actually are now caring about it even more. And so that's the opportunity, I think, in the Philippines. And as I remember, I said blockchain is overrated. The president of the Philippine Blockchain Council is here, by the way. It's Luis Buenaventura in the back. But I say let's put the budget on it. What the hell, right? Thanks.
Thank you, Winston.
Yeah,
What can you say about
I'm not a
that?
financial expert, but maybe to answer on the side on your question about investment, finance and infrastructure, I'd like to pick up from what I previously said, that there's no AI infrastructure here. It might seem a bit pessimistic, but I'm still very positive, forward-looking in this term, since Filipinos are very open to new technologies. I think we're seeing, we saw the rise of digital-ready students. I think they're now AI-ready. I see there's a lot of upcoming and new programs in schools. Government is funding out of research and projects. So I think it's very positive. Maybe what I could say is for large local companies to try to take a risk or experiment with local talents and technologies, because that's how they could mature and grow. So, a bit on the side, but my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, everyone. So for data infrastructure, in a nutshell, everyone's saying it's really data sharing that's secure. That's what we would really need here in the Philippines to have more innovation. Okay, I think this is one of the questions that we are thinking, oh, agents, it's like a person, doing real work. So my question for you is that we're really moving towards a world where AI agents may interact themselves with financial systems on behalf of users, of real people. So are you seeing this shift coming sooner than we expect? Like, how real is this? That's the question.
Maybe I'm taken off guard. We see a recent shift in the Western world, US and Europe, scaling down on real people to convert to digital. I'm not sure what I can answer here. I think it will still be limited, but it may be coming. Yeah, maybe we're a wave behind on the conversion.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Olivier.
I think we're behind, but rapidly catching up. I think earlier today we had senior leaders of the largest bank of the country talk about how they're going to do it. Right. I think the decelerator in the Philippines for now is two things: governance and guardrail. Right. So the moment enterprise in the Philippines understand that, the appetite for rapid transition into AI is going to accelerate quite large. Right. It's just that companies like Palantir and Claude, they're not in the Philippines yet because they're busy doing other business, right? But as soon as the possibility of a controlled and managed enterprise adoption, it's pretty obvious and it's pretty natural for enterprise to rapidly shift into AI.
Thank you, Winston.
It's funny that you asked that question because just recently, a big issuer just came to us with that proposition. They have agents that will transact on behalf of the customers. So it's already here. Actually, it's already here, and that will and now we really need to invest on trust. So it's digital identity. It's really having guardrails, monitoring in place to help mitigate risks coming out of that. It's going to happen, very, very soon.
Okay.
I
Wow.
think when we went to the FinTech Festival in Singapore, I think it was in November. November. So there was a panel, and I was talking to a banker from New York, from the Bank of New York. She was telling me that they have 12 digital employees in the banks. And that their goal was to increase that number, to continue to increase the number. And they were like fully autonomous 12 digital employees and I was like, wow, that's really progressive. But this is not new. Remember that, if you think about the stock market, and when do we have this after-hour trading happening? So you have agents, automated agent, autonomous agent, transacting on behalf of people all the time, because most of the trading is happening after the stock market is closed, not when the stock market is open. And it's really scary to know that it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever hour, it doesn't matter. Well, that is coming. And then, you need to have robust infrastructure, because if your surges are happening after banking hours, and you not prepare for something like that, then it's a problem.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's really, really interesting, because it seems like very dystopian, right? But at the same time, if we really think about it, like, if these agents are doing the transactions for humans, like, who is the real person or entity that's responsible, right? If something happens, like, where's the responsibility here, right? So yeah. So at the end of the day, I think that's still like one of the things that will be left to humans ultimately. Okay. So okay. That's. Are you guys enjoying the conversation with our panel tonight? Just like I am. Yeah. This is my last question for them, and then the floor is open to everyone for questions. So, how do you see AI changing financial services in 5 years?
So in the future, AI will be invisible. It will be embedded in workflows. So it'll, as you said earlier, it will be agents, transacting on behalf of humans, and fintechs will play a key role, of course, in that economy. And in the future, trust will be the new currency. Yeah, so it's really who can you trust? It's establishing identities, that and a large investment will shift, from the innovation and the tech to the governance part. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jean.
I think it's hyper-personalization. I think you now have a bank that knows who you are, knows what you need, anticipates your kind of requirements over time, and can even predict where you might be headed. And it's not science fiction anymore. It's kind of something that can actually be done. We've been building towards it, right? Data science has existed the last 20 years or so. And from that starting point, we've started processing data so that it can give us insights. I think 10 years ago, everybody talks about insights, right? Then it's become reasoning, then actions. I think we're getting to that point now. When you go to an ATM, you're gonna have a conversation. Just like when you do it Gemini late at night. And they will understand you and give you the best value for the service you're getting from the banks. So we're looking forward for that because that gives us much more easier interface to banking and much more accessibility, much more equal access to banking. And it's coming. I think the Philippines will pioneer that. We do care about our customers quite a bit here in the Philippines. We're probably under-tooled and under-platform, but with AI, those tooling and platform is also going to become a lot cheaper.
Thank you, Winston.
Since I'm, again, not a FinTech expert,
Yes.
I'll just give my point of view on the consumer side. I would see AI providing 24/7 services to anyone. You would call an AI if you have a problem. They could solve complex issues. Of course, AI is a superpower, so it will help companies provide a better service.
You can also apply it to blockchain, Olivier.
Oh, blockchain, yeah. And yeah, to finish with AI, it will lower the cost of the service. For blockchain in 5 years, I think it would depend on potentially, of course, the scale of adoption and if a government is ready to step in. But we would be looking at data trust and source of truth. So it will be easier and faster to trust information. We've actually conceptualized this with the some parts of the Philippine government where, for example, from life to death, with every document in between will be on the blockchain. So it could be your birth certificate, your school transcript of records, school diplomas, and then when you open a bank account, your statements will be on the blockchain. When you apply for a job, an employee contract will be secured. And then when you want to purchase a property, everything is just automatically validated. So you don't need to print and spend 6 months to apply. Maybe you can have an approval in just a few minutes. So let's see it like that.
Thank you, Olivier.
And just a couple of quick things. In terms of fintech and banking, what I see is that your banking is going to be done at the point of need, not at the branch. So it's going to be totally embedded in all the services, so that whenever you need it, that's where you're going to get your financial result. And the second thing that I'm hopeful for is that we can eliminate the concept financial inclusion, because the default will be that people will be already unwrapped digitally, so they will be included.
Yeah. Oh, that's very beautiful, Efrain. Okay, thank you so much. Please ask your questions. The floor is now open for everyone. We have enough time to accommodate all questions. Yes, please.
Thank you, the ASN network and also all the panels. I think my name is Alan. I'm working for one of the banks in the Philippines. In the workplace, we also passionate about the possibility of AI, the sort of all the grand story, the grand narrative you just talked about, the same thing. However, personally, I'd be a little bit skeptical about what the negative impact AI could happen on the personal level, like the job security, on the national levels, like now we have the energy crisis or what have you, right? So, and also, so if you do a Google search on Google or do the same search in ChatGPT, the consumption of energy is 100x. Right? So what are the actual costs and the energy consumption in the background? And to the individuals, like yes, we all gone through the hurdles, doing the best education, get the best jobs. Eventually, we are in where we are. But then now with AI, they say, oh, here's a tool, here's a workflow, and just use it. And then you use it, and you use all your experience and knowledge and cooperate, co-pilot with AI. After a while, they learn all the tricks you have, all the knowledge you have, everything you had in the past, and say, thank you very much, bye-bye, because we now can have a digital human and can be a super hyper personal, just like yourself. So then you got redundant. And in the Philippines, we have a big business that the BPO, but that's like really in danger. Although the government or the scientists says, oh, don't worry, this is like just like in the past when people invented cars, then you just have to upskill and reskill. You become like you used to ride a horse, now you just drive a car. But in this case, it's very different. This is like not like well, you reskill yourself doing something else, like AI and agentic AI take over altogether. You don't have job anymore. So now Winston's enjoy this 3x. Oh, this is great. And the delivery time cut half, and all the developer engineering is like a 3x. And however, you think about the AI become more powerful, maybe your customers think, whoa, why shall we getting service from Winston? We just hire a bunch of engineers and do it ourselves. And all of a sudden you lost of your revenues. And the BPO the same. So eventually will be only whoever have this power of energy. So China, they're building all these power grids or the so-called new source of the sustainable energies, and then they later on they just sell everything through this API calls. Basically, they just building everything within China. They don't even need the infrastructure, the distribution, the towers, everything. They just through the power lines. They sell everything. They suck everything from Philippines, other countries into their countries. US, they maybe still be able to compete a little bit because they are on the upfront, on the newer models, selling those. But still also, I doubt that. So whoever owns this power of energy, they winner takes all. So I think now just the grand narrative is like too sexy, and people all think about the bright future. We can upskill, and this tool help us to do things and be better. But even myself, I think I'm going to lose jobs in 5 years. I will be just doing other things. Sorry about the spectacle, but that's a question to the big audience here tonight.
Thank you.
Ted, do you want me to answer that? Well, so yes, you will lose your job if you don't do it. The point is, it's happening, right? And whether you like it or not, collective intelligence is now modeled into Opus or, Gemini Pro or OpenAI. It's happening. It's not changing. It's not reversing, right? And the only way to react to that is to use it as a superpower you can wield, because it's not a power you can run away from, right? And so that's what I tell my team, right? So yes, we are at risk, right? Because my company, if we have 3x capacity, that means I have 2x over capacity by next month, right? But we are embracing it fully. Every single line of code for my company going forward is not handwritten. Everything is written in Claude code. And the only thing we're doing now is, since I have 3x capacity, I will have to sell 3 times more. So that's my reality, and it's fine, right? But think about my competitor that's not doing it. If you're a bank And if you're not doing AI underwriting and you have 400 underwriters today, like how will you compete with the bank that underwrites using AI, right? If your interest rates is 24% and an AI-driven service delivered, no human touch lending company offers it at 12%, what are you gonna do, right? And AI makes that happen. So are you gonna deny using it because you're worried about jobs? It's not, right? It's not how it works. The way it works is you understand the trend, you write it, or get out of the game, basically, right? I mean, unfortunately, that's the reality. We have 1 million people in BPO in the Philippines. That's at risk. But we also have 1 million people in BPO that speaks English. You know what the language of AI is? It's English, right? And we're better than anybody in the world to do that. And all we need, and it's not lip service, all they need to do is learn prompts to go beyond answering phone calls. So you step forward, you don't step back, and you don't worry. You know, you play to win, not to lose, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I think it was
Olivier.
a very tough question. Well, I would say, you talked about energy, geopolitics, job security. It's kind of difficult to answer, but there are some AI councils nationally, regionally, globally, trying to, think about all these philosophical questions and try to put guardrails, see what governments can do about it. But then that's another topic, so I'll just stop there.
Yeah.
So let's not be naive. No, people will lose their jobs definitely with AI, but we're not futurists, so we don't really know what the future will bring. So we can think of all the scenarios, but in the end, we really don't know. So all we can do is really, as he said, ride the wave, and equip ourselves, and try to see where the trend is going. Like what I said earlier, governance will be a big thing in the future because who can you trust? No? So it's really investing on that, and just I can't say anything else. It's a very tough question. Yeah.
I just gonna say, for people like me, my age, is obviously like when I say me, because I'm already up there. Yeah, tough. I hard to think that I can adapt at this age. But guess what? If I can, anybody can. But I take a look, for instance, that's not the way a lot of these kids are being educated. And they don't have to be computer. They don't have to go into school to do coding and to study computer. I look at my daughter, one of my daughters, she had zero computer experience, zero. Never in her life have taken a computer class. Well, I want you to see her working with AI and the stuff that she can do. And how did she learn those things? She learned it on her own. Like a lot of these young kids have learned it on their own. So there is challenging, but there is tremendous opportunity in this world. And we are at a stage where you can actually still write those opportunities. It may be that if you have the same attitude 10 years from now, then you'll be left behind. But right now, we're still at the stage where you can actually take advantage of all the tools.
Yeah.
And from history, humanity will survive and will adapt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I want to add something to that because actually in our company, we're building our AI to replace my job. That's how we designed it, like me, to replace me, okay? And the thing is that everyone's, like, what we have learned from our panel is that everyone is really just riding the AI wave because it's here. And if you don't want to be replaced by AI, think of something, like, let's be practical. Think of something, selling something that's not going to be replaced by AI, right? Like ice cream. Like, that's not going to be replaced by AI. Okay. Yes, please. you.
So hi, I am Erwin. I'm actually in the agri space. So although I agree with Efrain earlier when he said that everybody, the default should be everybody should be included in terms of financial inclusion. But then in reality, not everyone is part of it. And maybe just to put flesh and blood on my question, as we all know, farmers and fisher folks are the most quote-unquote unbankable people because of all the risk involved in their activities. Not just the climate, but also in terms of fraud as well. I mean, if you're familiar with what has happened in Indonesia last year with the startups, the FinTech startups of Indonesia. So my question is actually, what are the opportunities that you are seeing in terms of how AI can, quote unquote, put inclusivity towards these people, especially the farmers and the fisher folks? Because as we all know, a lot of banks would say, oh, I cannot give the farmer, especially those smallholder farmers, a loan because they're very much risky. So how do you see AI bridge that gap?
And let me start by saying that whatever happened in Indonesia had nothing to do with the farmers and the fishermen. That had to do with other people, not the farmers. Exactly. That was not the farmers. That's a different level. But hearing what you are saying perfectly, yeah, that's a very good question. In fact, what Higala, the company that I'm working for, is trying to do is addressing part of that question. So imagine again, if you can turn everyday activity into a digital asset, then you can, the thing is to monetizing that information. So what AI can do is, again, part of the problem that the banks have is that they just don't have the information. So the activities are perceived high risk because of lack of information. The banks need information to be able to weigh risk, to be able to say, can I extend a credit or not? But if they don't have that information, or if they have the sporadic data about it, they cannot do it. However, if there's a farmer out there that he pays all his bills on time, he does all the shit, well, that could be a really good person for credit, but the bank doesn't have that. Another thing, think of micro insurance. And again, if you have the digital footprint and you can monetize digital footprint, it's very easy to think of microinsurance. And then when you bring all those elements that AI assisted tool can bring to the table, then you get inclusivity. Because now you can truly measure risk in the right way, and then you price your product in the right manner that is accessible to those. Basically, you get the invisible information. There's tons of information out there. It's just invisible to the banks. And then you bring visibility to all that digital footprint. That's the way to bring inclusivity.
Yeah, in my opinion, what they really need is financial literacy. It's really teaching them to save rather than to lend, because first thing that you think about is that how to lend to them. But I think first and foremost, they should learn how to save, and they should be we should be able to digitize them and get them into the system and the banking system, so that they don't get into that 5-6 trap and inform that that these scams, anything. So that's my opinion.
What they said. So I think you can't really, it's hard to make farmers become financially viable all of a sudden, right? But you could use AI, in addition to everything Efrain and Jania said, you could also use AI to help the conditions that make it hard for farmers. So for instance, use AI to predict weather, use AI to determine soil quality, use AI to determine proper crops to plant. So there's a lot of things technology can do to help farmers if we're conscious about really extending that to them. But I think technology is a lot of potential. I mean, there's a robotics thing here actually that will talk about how you can collect soil sample, water tables, all of that, right? And have AI coordinate that. That's a problem in the Philippines because we have small land, right? Our agrarian reform system did not allow us to have industrial farming. And that being the case, technology can help integrate that with a mesh around it to provide a kind of a macro service to farm land. And then making the financial inclusion thing is kind of the next step that gives them the capital to do that.
I'm going to say the same, you said it all, but I was also with an approach regarding AI that could help farmers increase yield, reduce risk, so overall increase revenue to try to join the financial services. But then, other than that, I would say AI could help financial institutions be more effective in building products, or maybe co-ops or the government to have more big data analysis, since obviously farming is a national security concern. So AI could help maybe at different levels.
Let me just say one more thing on this. I started my career when I was 18 years old. And you know what I was doing? I was using operation research to map areas with what was the best possible crops or activity that could be done in a particular area. So we have tons of indicators on the soil, but also on the products. And then using linear programming and optimization models at that time to do that. That was when I was 18 years old. Imagine what can be done now with AI, powering those kind of things. You can really get to the nitty-gritty in terms of increasing productivity, Oliver said, and decreasing risk for the farmers. But it's putting all those tools to work. It's not happening by itself, but it's really putting thoughts into how can you empower those populations to do better. But I do believe that AI provide opportunities for doing that.
Thank you so much for your answers.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Lester. So I'll just make it short. So I know Palantir uses the AI for their service, so they don't really need AI. They've been around for decades. And then if the supercomputers were replaced right now by the quantum computers, which is being done by the NVIDIA and the AMD right now, as we speak, will there be an actual possible chance that the quantum companies like QBT and Veriton will be able to propose a very much intellectual AI in the future?
Yeah, I used to work at Intel, so I actually build processors for a living for a while. I know I don't know if you know that, right? For every dollar you spend on AI, the vendor spends $10. So everybody's losing money on AI, right? Anthropic, OpenAI, all these guys. And that's because the computers today is inefficient to do AI, right? And so quantum computer will probably bring that economic equilibrium in terms of you're actually paying for the price of your. I mean, imagine this: you're at home, right? You're having Gemini write you an image, powered by a supercomputer in the back with an NVIDIA H100 chip. That's not feasible today, and that's only because VCs put so much money in all these AI companies that they're subsidizing your change in behavior to be dependent on AI. Quantum computer is somewhere between 10x to 100x more efficient in terms of teraflops delivered than the PCs of today. So that will bring it to equilibrium so that we can all use it. The other thing about AI is that it's also got an inclusion issue in it, right? Imagine the kids that can't afford the $10 or $20 subscription from OpenAI and Claude, so they're somewhat undertooled relative to the market. So that's the promise of quantum computing. I wouldn't bet on a company just yet because you don't know who's going to win. The two things to look at, one's NVIDIA because they have been the leader in GPU processing. The other that's kind of a sleeper is actually Apple, right? The neural chip that came with the GPU and the unified memory structure of Apple makes it cheaper. You actually run 1/5 power. It's 200 watts to run the studio. That's equivalent to an H100, which is 1200. So this kind of temporary discussion on like burns too much power is similar to at the time when Web3 was burning too much power, right? That's just a matter of time. I think it's going to get fixed.
I have another last question. If it's all right. Is it okay? Okay. So, what would you think if in VR industry, is it possible that back transactions payments would be something secure for those VR users at this current technology state?
That is possible, but again, it's a matter of can we trust it? What are the guardrails? Who are accountable if something goes wrong? You know? So if those guardrails are in place, the accountability question is answered, then it's possible. The banks can adopt it.
Anything else? Last question or two? Yes. Oh, okay. You first, and then we'll have him last. Yeah.
Hello. So, hello, I'm Arnel. My question is about on finance. So I was thinking, how will the AI going to influence or somehow bias somehow manipulates the market? Because we know that Cloud Code, Gemini can do some web search, and there are some prompt injections, right? In which there could be some like a hack, like a series of characters which somehow manipulates someone's decision regarding with your finances, and your buying decisions as well. Right? So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so think about AI as a super smart kid that you need to train, right? So it's a genius at birth. But how you expose that brain dictates the value of that, right? So we think AI in generalities at the moment, but over time AI will have models that will be trained specifically for something special. So for instance, if you need an image, you need Nano Banana, right? That's a model for image generation. And if you want mixture of experts, you need something like DeepSeek to give you reasoning. So in the future, there will be models that will be trained to think like an underwriter who has very good expertise to detect fraud, propensity for usage, consumption, right? And it becomes kind of the go, and then banks will differentiate themselves based on the data they trained that model with to give them a better solution. So I think the power of AI is the self-improving capacity of AI, which is more than the context us human beings can keep within our lifetime. So as that becomes better and better, how you train the model is really what comes out of it. And I think in the future, there will be banks that will be judged by the quality of the models they use. And that's kind of the future we're looking at, and that's not that far away, maybe 3 to 5 years.
Yes, and it always evolves, right? So when AI came, then there were deepfakes. no? And now there are AI that can detect deepfakes. And now, and then there came the prompt injections. And now AI is being developed to detect prompt injections, no? So it's always evolving. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, and Winston say you're going to be judged for the value of the water. That's actually happening. We got right now, even in the Philippines, we got big companies that are going out to the market for IPOs, and their value is based on the model, what they have trained the model on in some of these tools that we've been talking today. That's what they're bagging on. So that's where you differentiate yourself, how you do that. But in terms of good actor, bad actors, that fight's gonna be there forever. And it's becoming more and more sophisticated, but it's not on one side, it's on both sides. There is actually something that the FinTech Alliance of the Philippines just did on the last annual meeting that was a couple of weeks ago. And they now forming something I call like a unified defense for the Philippines. So basically cooperating on at least on the negative list of what's happening, you know, when they, and there was a case that one of the big digital company here was making that there was a particular case where the problem didn't happen in their company, the problem happened in another bank, but then they were affected because they were participating, the money kind of ended up passed through them. So now you got cases where there are multiple institutions that are getting involved because of how money moved from one place to the next. So cooperation is important and is valuable for the whole industry to look at this from a unified way, and that is happening in the Philippines with that initiative that just started this year.
Thank you so much, Efrain. Yeah. So let's have one more question. Okay. Yes, please. Yeah. We'll have a photo picture take.
Right. Thank you so much. My name is David. I'm a former consultant, venture analyst, and now I'm in Singapore developing financial data synthesis technology. And I have a question that is doubling down on the question I was asked earlier regarding analytics. And I love the constellation of this panel because it gives us sort of this entrepreneur and corporate investor as well as banking insight. And the question earlier was, I believe, AI and analytics, how does it change analytics? And the answer was operations, AML, fraud, and so on. I'd be particularly interested in investment decisions and investment banking, asset management, wealth management, and so on. And the term quantum computing that Winston brought up earlier is, I think, in this regard, especially valuable to dive into because it doesn't just accelerate or expand the capacity of computation, but the entire enablement of analysis that it opens up is singular, so to speak. So I'm very keen to hear your answers on how analytics and investment decisions are being changed through AI.
When you're making investments, especially in stock market, you're making very quick decisions over very, very large data sets, right? And that's the nature of being a stockbroker. And I think human beings can't do that anymore long term, right? I mean, if you're gonna deal with currency fluctuations, oil prices, stock price, and scandal within a company, factored into should I buy this stock, that's too much for a stockbroker to think anymore as a human being. And so augmenting that with AI becomes important, right? So that's one use case. But the necessary evolution of the infrastructure that serves that use case is also equally important, right? We're so used to data being gathered, then structured, then reported on, then averaged out, then framed, then reported. That life cycle of data is no longer kind of feasible. So what data is evolving towards is high levels of high-speed vectorization. So data is being vectorized so that English turns into mathematics that AI agents can read, and the reaction time to queries is a lot faster than how we do data science today, right? So another kind of controversial comment is I think data science is going away, right? But insights is not, right? And the tools will actually enable us to do that nowadays, so that when you do very fast decisions over very large data, AI actually helps you to start doing that. And that includes legal profession, right? You need to read the entire law book to make an instant decision in a court case. Those are the promise and potentials of AI that those who know how to wield it today are able to do it. Look, now, Wall Street's going to become dominated by quants, right? Not gut check people. Gut check people is kind of dinosaurs, right? It's going to be all quants going forward. So again, that's the reality. We just need to use the tool.
So on your question of AI and investment, I just have a very practical example. Actually, some of the attendees here are from the 100X investment program. It's a local program that was built around AI analysis of opportunities. So what they did is they created multiple forms where the founders had to provide extreme details of their process, and there are close to 100 applicants, so obviously no analyst can go through it. So they've trained and built their own AI to analyze like a VC. Of course, it had to be trained, and it has to have a lot of detailed data to make decisions. So that would be my illustration, which is to train a specific AI for a specific task and feed it with as many details and feedback loops as possible.
That's actually quite interesting. That's one of the areas that we're looking at also. You know, it's having wealth advisor. But first, start with wealth advisor assistant, you know, because we don't want to take the human in the loop. You know? If we rely fully on AI on our investment decisions, that's still scary these days. And I don't know if AI could detect that Middle East crisis, for example. No? If you depend solely on AI, I don't know if AI can predict what will happen. No? But it's a very interesting field, and definitely something that is already, you know, a lot of small companies approach us, offering exactly that solution. You know, it's the AI analyzing the market, getting data from unstructured data from the media and Bloomberg, for example, and then helping advising customers on what investment decisions to make.
And again, you know, some of this thing is like when we all know about it, and when we are talking about it, is because it's being done for quite a while. And it's just that now is kind of being mainstream, and we talk about it. So this particular question, this is something that in the stock market is being used for a long time now. And BlackRock, for instance, the largest of them, they actually, their value is how they use their AI to advise their all those investment decisions. And so this has been for a long time. It's not new. But again, you know, it's like when I was talking about back in my days about operation research, and I started doing. We actually started talking about AI. We called the whole thing was artificial intelligence. And I remember it was like learning the ABC of artificial intelligence. That was 1989. I'm dating myself here. 1989. That we were talking about like doing little code. And then see how that code can learn itself, how can do the thing. But then I started looking into that, and I realized that actually back in 1965, that's when the military were heavily into operation research and doing a lot of artificial intelligence. And here we're in 2026, and so there's a lot of development happening
in this thing, and a lot of these tools and technology has been used for quite a while. It's just that the revolution that we are seeing now that is really new is that it's being mainstream. And now everybody can actually get to use it. Hope that answers.
Yeah, it does. Thanks so much for your perspectives.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. And we have networking afterwards, so you can still talk to the panel. So let's please give a round of applause to Olivier, Winston, Jania, and Efrain. Okay, and to show our gratitude to them for your very interesting insights. We hope that everyone got inspired today, and you are thinking about how to ride this AI wave, right? We would like to call our visual storyteller from Roni AI to please give our gift to the panel. And we would also like to call Elise. Okay, we would like to welcome her from Singapore here in the Philippines. Thank you for bringing Asia Startup Network to the Philippines. Please join the panel. Okay, so we would like to call our visual storyteller, Jerome Abisamis, to give our gift to them. Okay. Yes, this is a caricature of like today's event. Thank you so much.
Wow. It's in banana.
Yes, he is not being replaced by AI. He did it by hand. Yes. Jania, for Jania. Yes, I think this is Elise. Yeah, is it you? Okay, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.